Hi folks, HR Funk here. Of all the handguns that were introduced at this year's SHOT Show, there were only a couple of them that really caught my attention. Most of them, to me, just seemed like repackaged versions of handguns that we've had around for a long time. But one of the ones that really interested me is the subject of today's video. This is the Tisas Raider. And as you can see, it is a very close copy of the Marine Corps' M45A1. And from the time I saw this handgun, I was very interested in it, and I now own this one. This is the first one that I've had an opportunity to check out, and it's now part of my collection. One of the reasons I was so interested in this handgun was because of the experience I had with my other Tisas pistol, which is the U.S. Army version that I've now had for a couple of years. And that has been a very good handgun. It's a faithful rendering of the traditional 1911A1 pistol that was still the official duty handgun of the Marine Corps when I was in the Marines. And now I have a copy of the last 1911 handgun that is ever going to be issued to our military. It's the one that was with the Marine Corps up until the end and is now being supplanted by the new M18 pistol. So in this video, we're going to be taking a close look at the Tisas Raider pistol. I'm going to be telling you all about its features and functions here in the shop. Then we'll head off to the range and see how it performs there. Now some of you might be asking, well, hey HR Funk, if you're that interested in the M45A1, why didn't you just go out and buy an actual Colt? Well, there's a couple of reasons for that. First off, the Colt M45A1 has always been very scarce in my area. I've only ever seen one or two of them, and that was several years ago. When I saw those handguns back at that time, the price was very high, and that's why I didn't purchase one at the time. They are still available from online retailers, but now those prices are even higher than they were back when I saw the ones that were in my area. And they've really just always been a little out of my price range. The Tisas Raider, by comparison, has an MSRP of about $750, so a fraction of the cost that I would be paying for an actual M45A1. Beyond that, my experience that I mentioned a moment ago with my U.S. Army pistol from Tisas has been so positive that for that price, I really wanted to give one of these pistols a try. By the way, I had Hot Munitions order this pistol for me, and they ordered two. So if you're interested in a twin to my Tisas Raider pistol, I know where there's one sitting. And I'll start my up-close look at the Tisas Raider pistol with an unboxing. And before I even open the box, I want to point out that Tisas has upgraded their packaging. When I acquired my original Tisas U.S. Army pistol, which is now coming up on about 2 years ago, it came in just a cardboard box. We can see Tisas now ships their handguns in a hard plastic case that is latched closed. It is lockable, and it even has a carry handle. Now, I'm not real concerned about the packaging. It could still be in a cardboard box as far as I'm concerned, because once I remove the handgun from the case itself is going to go into a closet with a bunch of other cases, and that's probably where it's going to stay for the rest of its life. But upon opening the case and removing some of the paperwork, we find the handgun itself. And I want to point out that these pistols are now shipping with 2 magazines. This is another upgrade. When I got my U.S. Army pistol, it only came with 1 magazine, and Tisas is now shipping their handguns with 2, which is nice. I'm glad to see Tisas doing that, and they're now doing better than a lot of manufacturers who are still shipping their handguns with only 1 magazine. I would still like to see 3 with every handgun, but 2 is certainly better than 1. Also in the case is a tool with a bushing wrench on one end and a projection on the other end that can be used for pushing the slide stop out of the frame during disassembly. So I probably won't use this either, but it's nice to know you now get a tool. In the back of the case, we find a cleaning rod and a cleaning brush, and also right there we can see the owner's manual, and in order to get to that, we just pull the foam out and the owner's manual can be pulled out from underneath. Now I'm going to take the handgun out of the case and we'll talk a little bit more about it. And here is my Tisas Raider pistol sans case. And I left this little tag on for the moment because there is information on there that is certainly going to be of interest to some prospective purchasers. To begin with, it indicates that this handgun has a forged frame and slide. There are some folks that very much do not like cast frames on their 1911, and the Tisas pistols all have the forged frame and the forged slide. The tag indicates the pistol has Series 70 internals. So again, there are some purchasers that really don't like the Series 80 pistols with the firing pin block, and this pistol does not have that. It has the Series 70 action. The tag indicates that it uses standard 1911 magazines, which I think everyone would expect, and the last notation down here just indicates that the metal parts were hardened before machining. And now the tag is gone as well. Dimensionally, the Tisas Raider is the same overall length, height, and width as a standard government issue 1911, so I'm not even going to go into those dimensions. They are recorded in many, many places. It has a 5-inch barrel, and the barrel is cold hammer forged. Visually, the biggest differences we see with the Tisas Raider as opposed to a government style 1911 are the equipment rail that we can see at the bottom of the frame here, which has 1, 2, 3, 4 slots. And this equipment rail I actually like a little bit better than the one that's on the M45A1, because that pistol has an equipment rail that is slightly different dimensionally, and it's more difficult to find holsters for. The Tisas pistol should fit any holster that is made for a railed 1911 frame, so I think that is convenient. The other difference obviously is the color, and the Tisas pistol is coated in desert tan Cerakote. Starting the top-down look at the Tisas Raider, we can see that it has Novak-style 3-dot sights. There's a close-up look at the rear sight, and there's the front sight. They are both dovetailed into the slide, and I'll see if I can get you a look at the sight picture. And it's not in real good focus, but that would be your sight picture looking down the barrel of the Tisas Raider. The pistol has both rear and forward cocking serrations. It also has very nice looking G10 grips that are sand color to match the Cerakote finish. It has an ambidextrous safety, and the safety function is a little easier than I would like it to be. I wouldn't mind that being a little bit more positive. It's not bad. It goes on and off very easily, but I would just like that to be a little bit more positive. The magazine release is the standard government model version, as you see there. The hammer is skeletonized to reduce weight and presumably speed up lock time. The grip safety is the extended beaver tail variety, with the raised surface at the bottom for a more positive disengagement of the grip safety. And the magazine well, if I can get it in focus there for you, is slightly beveled for easier insertion of the magazine. The finish of the pistol overall is very good, but there are a couple of places that I notice it's a little light, and right there at the base of the lanyard loop is one place. You can see that it's just not quite as heavy there as it is on the rest of the pistol. The slide stop, as you see there, is standard USGI. It is not ambidextrous. It is recessed on this side of the pistol to prevent inadvertently causing the slide stop to be pushed out of the frame. The Raider, like most modern 1911 pistols, has a lowered and flared ejection port. It also has the internal extractor that we can see the rear of here, and that internal extractor is fit very well to the end of the slide. It really does not protrude at all, so good job to Tisas for their attention to detail. This pistol has a flat mainspring housing, and a lot of you know I prefer the arch mainspring housing of the 1911A1, but on this one I'm just going to have to live with the flat mainspring housing. It is grooved to improve the grip quality slightly, and the front strap of the grip is smooth, so there's no checkering or grooves or anything else on the front to improve the shooter's grip. The trigger on the Raider pistol is the longer 1911 style trigger, which is the same as the M45A1. It also has a longer trigger. So this pistol is set up in the configuration that most shooters prefer, with the flat mainspring housing and the long trigger. I am one of the few who likes the arch mainspring housing and the short trigger. Overall trigger pull quality is not bad. I'll weigh that here shortly. Might be just a little on the heavy side, with just the slightest touch of creep just before the trigger breaks. So all in all, for a handgun in this price range, right there, just a little bit of creep right before the trigger breaks. All in all, for a pistol in this price range, it's not bad at all. The slide to frame fit is very tight. Very tight. I can feel virtually no movement whatsoever between the slide and the frame. The barrel lockup has just a little movement at the rear and no discernible movement at all in the front. So all in all, it's a very tight pistol. And as promised, we'll get a look at where this trigger is breaking. And I'll try to get it in the middle of the trigger. And the first reading is 5 pounds, 5.6 ounces. Let's try it again. See if I can get a 3-pull average here. Sometimes my gauge does not like to cooperate real well. That was very close. 5 pounds, 4.8 ounces. Let's try one more. And a little heavier that time, 5 pounds, 8.1 ounces, for an average of 5 pounds, 6.2 ounces. So a little under 5.5 pounds, which is about where I thought it was going to break. As I said, it's a little heavier than I would like it to be, but it's also a brand new pistol, so that might lighten up a little bit with some use. And as you can see, I have disassembled the Raider, and I did not do that on camera because YouTube won't tolerate that. It will probably cause some breach in the time-space continuum, and I'll be in all kinds of trouble. Oh, and by the way, they'll demonetize this video. Anyway, the Tisas Raider comes apart just like a 1911 is supposed to. There are no tools required. Again, there are many, many sources out there that will teach you how to disassemble this handgun and reassemble it if you don't already know. But the main thing I wanted to do was give everyone a look at the machining quality. And let me get some focus adjustment done here. And you can see that the machining on the Tisas Raider is very clean. This pistol has very good craftsmanship. Got a little bit of a look at the internal extractor there. I don't know why my camera doesn't seem to want to focus today, but there's a little bit of a look at the internal extractor. Again, the pistol uses a cold hammer forged barrel that you can see here. The machining on the barrel also appears to be very high quality. It's very smooth. No rough edges or burrs of any kind are on the barrel that I can feel. Barrel bushing also is very well done. And when we take a look at the frame, we also see very good quality machining and overall workmanship in this Tisas Raider pistol. And my Tisas Raider pistol is now reassembled without the scary footage of me actually putting it back together. Tisas USA warrants the Raider pistol for a period of 1 year from the time of purchase, and also they have a lifetime service contract that goes along with these handguns, so if there's ever a problem that's a result of a defect in material or workmanship, they will repair these pistols and return them to you. For more information on the warranty, make sure you take a look at the Tisas website. Turning our attention momentarily to the magazines that come with the Tisas Raider. As I said earlier in the video, it does come with two. They are 8-round magazines, as you can see. They are not marked, so I don't know who is making them for Tisas, but they appear to be very high quality magazines. They have the follower design that you can see there, and let me make that a little bit more clear. And again, these both seem to be very good, and once more, kudos to Tisas for including 2 magazines with their handguns. One area where the Raider pistol deviates from the traditional 1911 platform is in its weight. And to help illustrate this, I grabbed my Tisas U.S. Army pistol and placing it on the scale. With an empty magazine, it is weighing 38.7 ounces. And when I replace it with the Raider 1911, it weighs 41.2 ounces, so about 2.5 ounces heavier for the Raider pistol with its heavier barrel with the utility rail that we see there, as opposed to the standard government issue 1911. Now, as I mentioned back at the beginning of the video, the Tisas Raider is intended to replicate the look, feel, and shooting experience of the Colt M45A1, so it's probably only proper that we discuss the ways that the Raider differs from the M45A1, other than, of course, the fact that the M45A1 is manufactured by Colt and the Raider is manufactured by Tisas in Turkey. The first way that I'll talk about that this handgun differs from the M45A1 is in its markings. And if we look at the Colt, we would see along the left side of the slide, it would say M45A1 and it would have 3 stars. And for the ones that were actually issued to the Marine Corps, it would have USMC markings. With the Raider pistol, it simply has the word Raider underneath the ejection port. And on the website for this handgun, Raider was in much larger font. I preferred the way it looked on the website a little bit more than the way they have it here on this handgun, but that was apparently a prototype that they took a picture of, and this is the production model. So it's a little smaller than I would prefer it, but there is also a somewhat subdued US there at the front of the frame. Interestingly, they moved the Made in Turkey marking to the bottom of the frame to make it somewhat less conspicuous. And of course, we have the Knoxville, Tennessee legend on this side of the frame right here. Another difference that I mentioned before is in the dimensions of the equipment rail. This is a slightly smaller top to bottom rail than the one that's actually on the M45A1, and I do prefer this dimension a little bit more just for ease of finding holsters. The M45A1 internally has a dual recoil spring system, and you may have noticed when I had this pistol disassembled, this is the standard single recoil spring in this handgun. Another difference between the Tisas Raider and the actual M45A1 involves the sights. The M45A1 has Novak manufactured night sights. As you can see, and as I discussed earlier in the video, the Raider has a 3-dot system, and these are Novak style, but they are not Novak night sights. And lastly, the M45A1, according to Colt, has a match grade barrel. There is nothing from Tisas to indicate that this is a match grade barrel, but if this pistol demonstrates accuracy similar to that I've seen with my U.S. Army pistol, I am going to be very, very happy, because the U.S. Army is a very accurate handgun. And again, if I get the same type of accuracy from the Raider, I'm going to be extremely happy with it. And that's going to do it for the up-close look at my Tisas Raider pistol. And by the way, I keep forgetting to mention this. The actual model number for this handgun from Tisas, this is their 1911 Duty B45 RDG. That's Robert David George. So 1911 Duty B45 RDG. But if you go to the Tisas website and just type Raider in their little search window, this is the handgun that comes up. So now, let's head out to the range and see how my Tisas Raider is going to perform. Okay folks, I have arrived at the range and I'm all set up at a distance of 15 yards for a slow fire accuracy test with the Tisas Raider. But before I start that, there's a couple of things that I wanted to mention. First, for my trip out to the range today, I found the one holster that I have for a railed 1911. This is an older Serpa holster, and I just wanted to let everyone know that the pistol fits in there just fine. It locks in place. Now, I really don't care for these holsters for various reasons, but just to expound on something that I said during the course of the shop review, if you have a holster for a railed 1911, or if you're looking for a holster for the Tisas Raider, a holster made for a railed 1911 should fit. The other thing I wanted to point out was the target that I'm using today, and this is another target from my Target sponsor, Targets Online. And I especially like this one today for various reasons. First off, it has a bullseye target, actually two of them, along with the silhouette target. So I don't have to take as much time during segments of the video to reposition cameras and one thing and another. I'll be able to fire my accuracy test and then move right up and start to fire the defensive drills. So that saves me some time. That's one of the things I like about it. It's also white, so the shot holes show up on it very easily. And the last thing is it has the anatomical diagram. A lot of you know that I like that, so I just wanted to point that out. This is my first time using this target today, and so far I really like it. So now let's get on with the 15-yard accuracy test and see what kind of accuracy I can get from the Tisas Raider. Okay, everything went well with the first 8 shots. This is the factory magazine. I can't really see the size of the group from here, so let's go take a look at the target. So not bad at all from the Tisas Raider for those first 8 shots from 15 yards. And the group size is pretty much right at 2.5 inches, maybe just slightly smaller center to center. And a little bit of this is me. I had a couple of trigger presses that weren't exactly perfect, and had they been, I would probably be able to close this up a little bit more, and probably they accounted for some of these lower shots down here. My point of aim was right here at the bottom of this circle, so all in all, not bad. Had those two that went a little bit high, but again, for my first 8 shots ever with that handgun, coming in a little less than 2.5 inches for that 8-shot group is not something that's upsetting me at all. So now let's move on to some defensive drills. And on we go to some controlled pairs from a distance of 5 yards. Okay, no real problems on the controlled pairs. I'm pulling my shots slightly off to the left, and I have a feeling that's just me being a little bit heavy on the trigger for the Tisas Raider. But still, those are all good lung shots. Over here, I've got a heart shot, 2 good spine shots. That one went through the heart on the way to the spine. So again, I'm not going to complain too much about this accuracy. So now let's move on to the next drill. Next, I'll try some failure drills from a distance of 7 yards. This is 2 shots to the body and 1 shot to the head in rapid succession. Let's see how the Raider does on this drill. Oh, blew the headshot on that first trio. That's better. Took my time a little bit more that time around. And that one broke the line, so that's still a good headshot. All right. Body shots are looking good on those failure drills. Everything is heart, lungs, and spine from that distance of 7 yards. My headshots, I've got 2 good ones. The third shot on the first trio, I pulled partly off to the left there. And I think this is just me with this handgun. For some reason, I'm pulling it a little bit to the left because when I shot on the bullseye target here, I wasn't noticing that tendency for the shots to go to the left. So I think this is just me getting acquainted with it and maybe being a little bit heavy on that trigger. So now back we go to 15 yards, and from that distance I'll be firing 5 rounds into the target at a medium shot tempo. And that was probably a little closer to a slow fire shot cadence, but I really wanted to watch my sights and see if the sights were off or if I was pulling them to the left in those earlier drills. And this would indicate to me that the sights were just fine, and that was me that was pulling them off the target. So I am going to move back to a distance of 25 yards and try this drill one more time from that distance and see what the group looks like from there. Folks, I don't know if it's going to be visible on the video or if you're going to be able to hear it, but after about the third shot, the wind picked up, and as I was trying to hold on target and squeeze off my shots, it was blowing me a little bit, so I had to slow down and sort of fight against the wind and try to keep those shots in there. And fortunately, they all stayed pretty well centered. I'm not at all upset with that group from 25 yards. I could have aimed a little bit higher, but that's about maybe a 4-inch group altogether from 25 yards firing offhand, so I'm not feeling too bad about that. By the way, that wind excuse, feel free to use that. I've got a million of them, so you can put that in your own excuse bag if you want to. But now, after all this, it's time for the final test. We're going to find out if the Tisas Raider is a 7-yard tack driver. So here we go. Oh, a little low on that first shot. And I think once again I was a little heavy on the trigger that time. Yes! Booyah, baby! On the second shot, the Tisas Raider is a 7-yard tack driver. Folks, before I completely leave the drills with the Tisas Raider, I'd want to try one with hollow points, mostly just to test its functioning. And this is Hot Munitions 230 grain jacketed hollow point ammo that you see here. And I'm going to be using this on a drill that I haven't done for a while. This is going to be a multiple target drill from 5 yards, where I have 2 targets side by side. I'll start out and fire 1 shot at the target on the right, then 3 shots at the target on the left, then 2 more shots at the target on the right in rapid succession. That will leave me with 3 rounds in the pistol, so I'll probably come back to a low ready position and then come up and fire 3 headshots. Or maybe I'll put a headshot in each target and then I'll do something else with the other one, I don't know. But like I said, I mainly just want to test the functioning with this ammunition in the Tisas Raider. And it would appear the answer is no. This pistol does not like hollow point ammunition, at least not this hollow point ammunition. Folks, as I was finishing up that last drill, another shooter arrived out at the range. You might have seen that in the background. So I decided to come back here to the shop to record my final thoughts on the Tisas Raider pistol. And up until that last drill, I was prepared to give the Raider pistol a glowing review, and this is still going to be about an 80% glowing review because with 230 grain hardball ammunition, this pistol ran very well, as you saw. The accuracy is good so long as I do my part. I'm not sure that it's quite as accurate as the Tisas US Army pistol that I purchased previously, but it is certainly accurate enough for anything I'm going to be using this handgun for. As far as the look and feel of this handgun, I think it does replicate the M45A1 very, very well, and I can't imagine the shooting experience is any different really with that pistol than it is with this one. Now the M45A1 does have the dual recoil spring system, but also my Colt Competition Series 1911 has the dual recoil system, and I just don't notice that much recoil reduction with it. So I don't think there's going to be that much difference in the feel of shooting the M45A1 as compared to the Tisas Raider. And beyond that, the look, the character, and what have you of this pistol is close enough to the M45A1 that I don't think I'm going to be upset about owning this one as opposed to dropping $2,000 or $3,000 to get an actual M45A1. Once again, with the 230 grain hardball ammunition, there were no issues with this handgun, and it does have the traditional two-piece feed ramp, where half of the feed ramp is on the frame of the pistol, the other half of the feed ramp is on the barrel itself, and that tells you from the get-go that it is intended to run ball ammunition. Now, when I switched over to the hollow point ammunition, as you saw, I had 3 or 4 stoppages out of the 9 rounds that I was firing during that drill. Now that could be an incompatibility with this Hot Munitions jacketed hollow point ammo. As you can see here, it is a very squared off cartridge. And what I may do is some experimentation with some different types of hollow points to see if anything else runs better in the Raider. I may also do some experimentation with the magazines to see if that makes any difference with how it cycles hollow point ammunition. But this is mainly going to be a range and field pistol for me, and for those usages I prefer 230 grain hardball ammunition in my 45 1911A1s, or in this case my Tisas Raider. So most of the time that I use this handgun, I'm going to be using it with the ammunition that it likes. I don't really expect to use this for a CCW handgun or anything like that. And those experiments with the different magazines and different ammunition are going to end up being the topic for a future video, because that's going to do it for this one. If you have any questions and comments about this video, as always, make sure you forward those to me. Remember, if you purchase anything from Optics Planet, be sure to use my discount code, which is... And if you use that discount code, it'll save you 5% off your purchase from Optics Planet. Also remember the discount code from Hot Munitions, and I purchased this handgun from Hot Munitions. They ordered it in for me, and as I said earlier in the video, they have this pistol's twin hanging on their wall right now, or at least they did yesterday. So I'm just saying. And don't forget, at Hot Munitions, you can use my discount code there, which is HRFUNK10, and that'll save you 10% off your purchase from anything hanging on their wall or anything else from Hot Munitions. And last but not least, the new target sponsor for the channel is Targets Online. That target that I was using out there today I thought was pretty cool. I like that. That's the first time I've used it. I liked being able to shoot my accuracy test and then all my drills and everything on the same target. So I very much like that, and you're going to be seeing that target again, as well as other options that are offered by Targets Online. Go and check out their selection, see if they have anything that's going to meet your target needs. That's going to do it for now, folks. So until next time, good shooting. Bye-bye.